Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm Gamesplaining Kitchen Rush, 2nd edition. So yes, you heard me right, this is 2nd edition of Kitchen Rush. I'm not 100% sure what is different with 1st edition. I did play 1st edition when someone brought it along many years ago. I've played through Kitchen Rush with each of the different elements and adding the stuff in, and it doesn't feel vastly different to what it was. So I'm not actually 100% sure what the differences are. But Kitchen Rush is a 2 to 4 player game put out by Pegasus Spiel. It is a co-op game. If you get the game, it does a really interesting thing where it gradually builds up the rules, enabling you to get to a point where you have learnt the basics and just adding that extra thing in, or adding another thing in, adding another thing in. The board is built in a kind of a jigsaw type of way so that you can shift each portion of the board over, and that will give you some extra spots to stop and extra things that you need to do. The whole idea of the game is you are trying to run a kitchen. You are bringing guests in and seeing them at tables. You're then taking their order and you're then creating their order. You need to wash dishes, you need to get goods, all of this stuff, pick herbs from the herb garden, all of this different stuff. You then need to cook the dish that they wish, and there's cards that show you what you need to put onto each plate and what shape of plate you need, which tells you kind of the size of the plate. You've got a time limit on it. The time limit is 4 minutes per shift. Now the game itself goes for 4 shifts, so it's a 16-minute game plus conversation, so allow probably 20 minutes to actually play the game beginning to end once you're playing the full game. And this is the whole thing of it. The playing through the first few elements, they're playing on 1 shift or 2 shifts, and so you can get through them relatively quickly until you get to the end, which has the 4 shift thing going on. There's a heck of a lot to think about in this game. I am going to do the gameplay as if you have learnt through all of the different shifts so that you can get a feel for how the whole game works together rather than just the learning elements. Of course, that's what, in essence, these things are. It's just learning elements. If you have a table of people who have not played this game before, but they have their heads switched on, you can probably actually push them through, okay, this is what this does, this is what this does, this is what this does, and just taking everything in. Of course, it is actually relatively straightforward when you look at the board. Not there's anything written on the board, but when you look at it and you kind of understand what you're doing, it's actually relatively straightforward. What I found is the last few scenarios, you need to pay for each of the sand timers that are being your people or your meeple that are doing the stuff. So if you want to do something, you turn a sand timer onto it, do the thing, and then you've got to wait till that sand timer runs out before you can put it somewhere else. On the later elements, you need to pay the people who work in your restaurant. And so you're paying money that you've managed to get in to help the guys keep working. And it's like 3 money per sand timer. You have 2 per player. And then there's these extra 2 white ones, which can be utilized by anyone throughout the game. We lost the 8th scenario. We horrendously lost the last scenario because we just didn't have enough money, or we didn't complete enough orders, should I say, to get the money to be able to pay for all the guys. And so we ended up starting one of the shifts with only 1 worker, even though we had 2 each plus 2 white workers available to us. The others all went on strike. They had to be paid before they would come back in to work their next shift. And we found that really, really hard. We understood what we were doing, but we found it really hard to get to a point where we could actually enable stuff to happen, because we used that 1 worker and then we suddenly had some money so we could start bringing some more people in. There's some tough elements in this game. The overall look of the game is absolutely fine. Each of the food products that need to go onto the plate look like that food product. So meat looks like meat, carrots look like carrots, pasta looks like pasta. Did I say pasta or pasta? I mean pasta because I'm Australian. Pasta if you're English, or like my wife, and she keeps giving me a go at that, but moving on. So each of the elements look like what they are. The only ones that don't really look like anything are these herbs and spices, which are just cubes. And look, I don't know what else you would use instead of just cubes, to be honest. On that, it's, what does salt look like? Oh, it's a cube. Oh, okay, cool. It's a cube. Things like that. It's worth kind of thinking through and just going, okay, I'll deal with it. The herbs and spices live in a bag. When you go to the herbs and spices, you can take as many of them as you wish out of the bag, but they live in the bag. You can say what's in the bag. The whole idea of it is that you can't just glance up and see how many herbs and spices are there. You actually need to physically open it, which takes a little bit of time for you to get your head around and for you to actually do. You're allowed to say to the rest of the table, oh, there's 2 salt and a pepper in there, or there's 2 white and a black, using the language that I usually use when I'm playing games, so that I don't have to think in 2 areas. That's actually a really good thing, because what it means is that in order for you to have spices or get the spices, you need to know what you're going to need, go to the shop, purchase spices into the bag. You may only need 1 spice that isn't in the bag, and so you need to communicate with the rest of the table. Oh, what other spices are you going to need? What spices are on these guys that are not yet at tables that we need into the bag? Because I only need 1, I can put another 2 in. There's a lot of to and fro and talking back and forward that is necessary on this game to make it work. Oh, you're going to the pantry, you're going to pick up all that stuff. I need this, 3 meats and a potato. But I can see that you're taking some of the stuff out of that pantry, so I may need to go to this pantry, but this pantry doesn't have enough either, so I'm going to need to go to both pantries to get all the stuff. Or I could go and purchase more of the stuff to get into this pantry, then go to the pantry. There's a lot of thinking, and it's a quick time thinking, because it is a timed game. Yes, you have same times for each of your people, but the game itself is 4 minutes per shift, and you're using your just your iPhone or whatever you happen to have, whatever device you have, to be a timer on that, and as soon as it dings, you're out of time. You can't do it. If you've turned a sound timer over onto a spot, you can complete the action that you're doing on that spot, but quite often you need to wait. Oh, I'm going to go to the pantry, but there's not enough stuff there. You're going to go to the purchasing guy to get some meat. I need meat. You need meat here. Can you purchase meat, put into both pantries so that I can get it as well? But I can't go there until you've done that action, until the stuff is there. There's a couple little finicky things with this that are really necessary to make the game work properly, but they're still finicky. If you've got 2 sand timers, 2 workers, you can't start an action with 1 worker if you're still doing the action with another worker. Or if you've placed that worker there and you've done that action, you've moved on to this guy, you can't then come back to do stuff there. So if this one needs stuff in the pantry and this one needs to go and get stuff, you actually need to go and get the stuff into the pantry before that one goes there, rather than putting this guy down because he's got a few seconds left. Take the stuff that's in the pantry, send him to the thing, and then take the rest of the stuff. That's not going to work. That isn't how this game works. You need to do it all as 1 action. I think that single rule is actually the biggest part of this game, the most important part of this game. Without that, you are able to kind of just manipulate just a little bit, and it makes it so much easier if you do those small manipulations. So make sure that when you're playing this game, that you complete the actions of each sand timer before you start the next sand timer. If you need something else to happen, you're going to need to wait. The problem is that if you've got a sand timer that's run out of time, that's on an area, that one is taking up that area, so no other player is able to use that spot. And there's this push and pull on, oh, I need that spot, but you need that spot, and you over there, okay, you're going to need, so we're going to need to, there's only like 2 spots on a pantry. If there's 4 players, only 2 people are going to be able to use that at any one time. And getting your head around that type of small element is a really important way to go, a really important feature of this game. It doesn't matter who takes stuff in terms of the card that needs to be fed. But I can't go to the pantry to get meat and give you a meat. There's little stuff like that that gets in the way. So look, I really appreciate this game. I think this is a really good game and relatively easy to get to the table with a lot of little minutiae stuff, but getting your head around that minutiae stuff once you've got it, it plays really fine. As I say, we did play it all 8 times. I think we played it 9 because we lost the first one because we didn't quite have an understanding of a couple of elements. But playing all 8 scenarios back to back, we got on top of the game really easily. I hope that my Gamesplanation, which will run through all of those elements to get you up to as if you'd played all 8, I hope that that works. And I think that now I'm able to present it at the table and go, okay, we're going to jump straight into scenario 8. These are the rules. Just bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. Because there's someone who'll be able to push people around at the table and tell them which ways to go. So look, I think I'll leave it there. Please go ahead and watch my Gamesplanation for Kitchen Rush to get a feel for how the game actually plays and all the rules, etc. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.